It's Tuesday, October 24th, and there is huge news coming out of a couple parks in the Cedar Fair chain, so I wanted to get this video out to you. If you're new to this channel, then you don't really know that I'm not usually solo. If you're joining or one of our subscribers and join us regularly, you'll know usually my son Milo is here, but he couldn't join me today to make this video, and I really wanted to get this information out here because it's pretty big information. Late breaking news, and we've done a couple videos about this subject in the past. So last year, about a year ago now, I mean, it's the 24th, I think it was around like the 28th or 29th or something of 2022, Cedar Fair announced that Carowinds and Kings Dominion was going to be joining their parks that have year-round operations. They were joining Knott's Berry Farm. I think California's Great America was added into that too. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, Carowinds in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Kings Dominion in Doswell, Virginia, were getting a shot at weekend only, but still year-round operations. So normally they would close down. They had a Winter Fest, which would go until December 31st. And then after that, they would close down for January, February, and then normally open up early to late March or something like that, both parks differing. And last year was the first year that they had this, and last year into like the winter months of this year. First year that they attempted this, and we did a video in February about how it wasn't going so well. But my personal prediction is that maybe not next year, but I think within the next year or two, I think they're going to get rid of Kings Dominion's year-round operations. Both Carowinds and Kings Dominion, more so Kings Dominion, were having a lot of issues where they were having to close for either all weekend or specific days, like either a Saturday or a Sunday. But it seems like most every weekend, Kings Dominion and or Carowinds was closing down due to inclement weather. So it's really hard to keep like a consistent schedule whenever you're in a not so warm climate, because Doswell, Virginia, where Kings Dominion is, it's not Southern California or Florida weather, but it's not like up north, like we're in Cleveland, Ohio. It's not quite as cold as here. It's kind of in between. So they thought maybe they could pull it off, but didn't do it so well. So in February, we did a video saying, hey, they're really struggling. Don't be surprised if both of these parks, we were focusing more on Kings Dominion because Carowinds seemed like they were holding it together a little bit more than Kings Dominion. But we said, don't be surprised if one or both of these parks doesn't last too long with their year-round operations. Then, a little bit over a month ago, I can't remember the exact date, we did a video all about how we really thought that Kings Dominion was going to be getting rid of their year-round operations, and that was in large part due to the fact that Kings Dominion has their haunt schedule. So haunt goes until like the last weekend of October, and then they have a Winter Fest, which picks up in like usually late to middle November. And we noticed that in between, there were a couple weekends in November that Kings Dominion was going to be closed. Now we kind of thought, okay, if you're going to close for a couple weeks, then you're not really year-round operations. And then we looked over at Carowinds, their operating calendar, and they were open those 2 weeks. The 2 weeks that Kings Dominion were going to be closed. So we were thinking, okay, Kings Dominion is going to be getting rid of their year-round operations. And sure enough, today they announced officially that their opening date, I think, was like March 24th of 2024, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but something later March, they were going to have an opening day. So if you're going to have an opening day, that means that you obviously close at some point. So that means that they're getting rid of year-round operations. And yes, looking at the calendar, it is indeed official. So we weren't really surprised about that information. But what did kind of come as a shock, a couple hours after Kings Dominion announced it, Carowinds put out their operating schedule. And sure enough, they are closing as well. So that one kind of threw us a little bit. We weren't completely expecting that. But like I said, we did a video saying that both were kind of struggling, so we wouldn't really be surprised if one or both gets rid of it. So indeed, they are both getting rid of their year-round operations. So goodbye to Carowinds and Kings Dominion, January and February. operations. So if you're local to one of those two parks, you probably took advantage of a couple of those, especially if you're a pass holder. Now, you probably weren't really traveling to either of those parks during the winter because they did have limited ride operations. That's one of the things about these parks during the winter. They weren't running their full gamut of rides. Carowinds did a little bit better than Kings Dominion, and that's one of the reasons that we thought maybe it could stick around. They had Fury 325 open. They had Copperhead Strike open. They had Afterburn open. They had some of their major coasters that you would go to Carowinds to ride. Kings Dominion, on the other hand, had, I think, Twisted Timbers, which is possibly their best coaster, or probably I-305, but I-305 was closed. They only had a couple coasters open, so it wasn't really anything that you're going to travel to get there. It would be something that if you're either local or just passing through the area that you would go to. So they probably just had a lot of pass holders, so they probably weren't bringing in a lot of money in the winter months, and then the overhead just probably wasn't worth it. And the fact that they kept closing down because of inclement weather. Really hard to keep a really consistent schedule with like employees and stuff like that. Not really fair to them if you're going to constantly just last minute have to close on a Saturday or Sunday. So yeah, that's the result. That Carowinds and Kings Dominion no longer year-round operations. Why don't you let us know what you think about this in the comment section? Are one of these your home parks, or are you upset about this? Did you go to one of these parks in Winterfest last year? And let us know what your experience was last year. All comments are appreciated and welcome. And while you're down there, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. It helps us oh so much. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for joining us once again. And if you want to be a little bit more than a subscriber, you can be like one of these wonderful people right here. And they join the channel membership. And it helps out this channel more than we can even imagine, or more than you guys can imagine. And in turn, they get things like exclusive videos, exclusive pictures, shout outs like you just saw. But really quick, I want to give one special shout out. One of our channel members just gave us some information that is pretty special. Chris Riggs. He announced that he is just celebrated his 4 years sober. So that's a huge deal. You went from, I don't know what your addiction was, anything. It's not good to be addicted to anything, obviously, but you beat it. Now you're addicted to roller coasters, obviously, which is a much better thing to be addicted to because a lot more fun, that's for sure. But congratulations on that. It's definitely not an easy road. I know because I know some people that have battled it. Some won, some lost, unfortunately. But congratulations to you, 4 years sober. That's something to give yourself a big applause for. And thank you for being a member to this channel. We definitely appreciate you. And we will appreciate all you guys so much. The link is in the description for the channel membership. There's 2 different tiers that you can join. And you get to choose from one of those. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope this information was useful. Don't shoot the messenger. If you're upset by this, don't give us a thumbs down because of the information. We're just passing it along, or I'm just passing along because I don't have Milo here with me. I'm so used to saying we that I just say we, even though it's just me right now. But that's it. We'll see you guys next time right here on Beach Cliff Studios.